for a race this afternoon at least. So it was interesting to hear Art's confidence in California Chrome's condition. He didn't train yesterday with the wet weather that hit Los Al on Friday. The track was closed, so the horse just walked at home, walked at the barn. So they have him back out today. The horse is ready to do something. And Art was it was 8:30 this morning when I spoke to him, so now he's only got 7 hours to the race, so he's a little bit better off.
Yeah, that's one thing we've seen about California Chrome, isn't it? As he gets close to a race, he'll get up on his hind legs like that when he's feeling pretty fresh.
It's going to be fun to watch him here for a final time, his 26th career start. And first at Los Al, where he's trained, as you mentioned a moment ago, for almost 3 years now since the closure of Hollywood Park and the development of Los Alamitos as a year-round training facility for thoroughbreds. Only 7 months was he gone from the stable in 2014 when he was in 2015 when he was in Dubai in England, and then in Kentucky recovering from the ill-fated trip to the Royal Ascot meeting. But he's been back here at Los Alamitos for 14 months now, more than, in fact, and really remarkable to see his progression over the course of 2016.
So speaking of that progression, and you've seen a lot of it up close, what has struck you the most about how he's handled this year and how he's progressed, to use an iteration of the word that you just used, how he's progressed through this calendar year?
What's remarkable about it is everything has gone almost precisely to plan, with the exception of the loss in the Breeders' Cup Classic. In terms of training, in terms of race planning, and in terms of preparation, there haven't really been any blips on the radar. He was very good in the San Pasquale on his first start in 9 months last January. 2 wins in Dubai, of course, the epic win in the Dubai World Cup. And then when he came back, they were surprised at how quickly he recovered, how quickly he wanted to do something, which necessitated a start in San Diego, which we won, led to the Pacific Classic, and led to the Austin again. So really, he just checked all the boxes through the calendar year in regards to conditioning and fitness and contentment, really. That's why he's won $8 million.
And going off into what you were just talking about how much quicker he came back to being race ready after going to Dubai to run in the San Diego. To me, Steve, it's analogous to what's going on with running today. It seems that even though he's 5, about to turn 6, and is at the end of his career with just today's race and the Pegasus to go, it seems like he takes his races really well, and he's retained his enthusiasm for racing, because I'm sure if he wasn't bouncing out of those races so quickly, the San Diego wouldn't have happened, and this race wouldn't have happened. He'd have just trained straight into the race in Florida.
That's exactly right. I've watched his last 3 works since he's been back in training after the Breeders' Cup Classic. And he had his late November, early December workouts were better than last week, I thought. I thought they had to kind of remind him a little bit not to get lazy in the last furlong, which surprised me slightly. But considering the standard that he set, you almost wonder if at times you're just looking for errors. You're just looking for the smallest little glitch in the preparation. And in that sense, I think he'll benefit from this race today, because he probably needs it, as we described. And it is a good timeline gap between the Breeders' Cup Classic and the Pegasus World Cup on Jan 28th. So in that sense, he needs a race, as Art said this morning when he's very eager on the track.
Talking to Steve Anderson of the Daily Racing Form, who has chronicled much of California Chrome's career here in Southern California. Steve, you have spent a lot of your time at Los Alamitos over the years, not only covering thoroughbred racing, but quarter horse racing. But California Chrome, as we've mentioned, has been based there for the better part of 3 years now. What do you think his training there has enabled him to do from either a race preparation standpoint or a training standpoint? What do you think maybe has been an advantage for that horse specifically being at Los Alamitos that's helped him?
Whatever Art Sherman wants, he got 5:30 a.m. dedicated training times for 5 to 10 minutes when nobody else was on the track, and there was no potential for another runner to get in the way or try to become part of the workout in any capacity. So in that sense, that was a massive advantage, and it helps when you train for the man who owns the racetrack.
It does.
You can make those requests. But they also realize that, there's not a lot of activity on the Los Al track compared to, say, San Diego or Del Mar in terms of a day-to-day, morning-by-morning activity. There's just not as many active runners there. The quarter horses don't train every day like the thoroughbreds do at the other venues. So in that sense, even if you were out for a gallop at 5:30 instead of the dedicated workout times, you've got a time when he's there's not 200 head of horses on the track. There's quite a bit less. So there's little things like that I think work in their favor. And it's always been really kind of his track in a sense, and he's the primary runner, and it's remarkable to think that 2 weeks or so from now, 3 weeks from now, that little chapter of California racing and California Chrome are going to end when he goes on a one-way ticket to the east.
That's right. He's scheduled. The schedule now is to race today, have a workout 2 weeks from today, and then head off to South Florida and basically be based down there for the better part of more than 3 weeks, leading up to the Pegasus. And then from there, he goes straight on to Kentucky to begin his stallion career at TaylorMade. So really, if you want to see him in person in Southern California, it's either today to race or on New Year's Eve to watch him work at 5:30 in the morning.